It's the Elsa Show with Clay Melnick. Conservative views on world news. Brought to you by The Wellness Company. Prepare for the unexpected. And Refuge Medical. And now, it's time for the show.
Well, hey there.
How are you?
Well, I haven't stopped smiling. I don't know about you. I can't stop. I got to go in and see my girl for the Botox for a little filler on these laugh lines, man. Woo-wee. It's been wild.
Well, it has been. And for us, it's been over a week. I mean, we did the live show. Hey, thanks to all. What did we hit? Like 330 something, I think, at the high. You're about
it was great.
People participating. You guys are awesome.
Yes.
But we did that last Tuesday on election night.
Mm-hmm.
And then show on Thursday. And today it's Wednesday.
We're recording. We're not live, kids.
4:30. This is not live. 4:30 Eastern time. We're recording the nominations, which we're going to discuss into all the cabinet and key positions are coming through hot and heavy. But it's been a heck of a week, and we got a lot to talk about, don't we?
We sure do. All right, let's get this intro out of the way, and we can get going. Woo-wee. So much stuff and things.
So much. I
love it.
Yep.
So much. All right. So let's go right from let's do our recap. Like, let's go through the whole thing. What time? I want to know, election night, what time did you go to bed?
I stayed up to watch him give his speech. So I think, whatever it was after the speech was over with, whatever time that was, I don't even know what time it was, but I watched the speech. I watched him,
his dance.
I watched him drag everybody to the microphone, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yes.
Never seen that before, but it was very Trump style. It was very off the cuff.
Mm-hmm.
That was how late I stayed up. I stayed up for the speech and then I went to bed.
Yeah. I think I was up till I guess watching everything till probably about 2 a.m. I didn't watch the speech. I finally pulled the plug. I said, I can't do anymore. I'll get the highlights, tomorrow or later today meeting. And I went to bed. I don't know how much I actually slept. I had, and it's funny, I wasn't alone in this. I saw a lot of people saying similar things that I had like this. It's almost like PTSD, and I hate to compare anything to that, but, so bear with me as I say something like that. But I had this fear that when I woke up in the morning, they would have,
flipped it,
done the switch, done the flip, done the drop, right? And the numbers will have changed. So I was like, going back and forth between elation and anxiety. And that was apparently a very common feeling. People were like, literally watching their phones. And I don't know about you, I got most of my stuff off of X. That's where I kept, and I would like, my husband and I, we're like, refresh, refresh. Did you refresh? Okay, refresh. Let's see. Anything. A little crazy, but
yeah, I did a little bit of the Oppo thing. I watched a little bit of CNN. I watched, a lot of the melting down, a lot of the groveling, which we will talk about the reactions here in a little bit. But I was doing a lot of channel flipping, a lot of social media flipping. Had for once all my alerts turned on. Like, something would happen, and it would be like, it would be AP would hit it, and Fox would hit it, and CNN would hit it, and then you wouldn't hear anything, and then 20 minutes later, MSNBC or somebody would hit. Like, I had them all turned on. It was funny to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to see all of the things, not just the Senate, we're still waiting on the House, right? As much as everybody assumes that it's already been won, and it probably has, but we still don't have an official yet, but between the Senate and the House and, obviously the Electoral College, watching all of the states, all the swing states, all the battleground states.
What is it? Seven swing states, right? Seven.
I mean, Arizona didn't come through until a couple days later, but it was done. Right. It didn't matter at that point. But and then the popular vote.
Yeah. How about that?
Wow.
So I came across this. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up here. So I came across this tweet. I don't really actually know if we're still calling them tweets on X, but that's what I'm calling it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So this person's name is That Kazin, and he, I don't know if he got it from somewhere else, but this is where I found it, so I want to credit him for it. At That's Kazin, Kaizen. He put together this list that is really very wow. Okay, so he says it's crazy to look back and realize that one, Trump was banned from Twitter for 2 years. He was banned from YouTube for 2 years, banned from Instagram and Facebook. Same thing, 2 years. The government pressured Facebook to censor dissenting voices as misinformation. They pressured Twitter to shadow ban conservative accounts. They pressured Twitter to censor the Hunter Biden laptop story. He's been hit with hundreds of lawsuits, incurring $1 to $2 million in expenses over the last 8 years. Legacy media near uniformly posted negative headlines about him, and Google search results reflected and may have even amplified media bias. The fact that he was able to win the fact that he was able to win again, despite all of this, is a stunning triumph of the human spirit. And I agree wholeheartedly with that. The obstacles that he had to get through to just be heard, to just be seen with that level of opposition against him. It really is. I mean, this was a collection of more than half of America saying we're not going to be silenced. He's not going to be silenced. And it's incredible when you realize the scope of the opposition that they laid against him.
Yeah, I mean, and go even a step further, 2 assassination attempts.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I mean,
right.
There's that. So now you've got intimidation. You've got an attempt to keep him from appearing in public. You've got all of those things. You've got intimidation of his family beyond the lawsuits. I mean, you've got the lawfare, which is a level of harassment.
Yeah.
I mean, the raid on Mar-a-Lago, it's just, I mean, that kind of kicked all of this off. If you just go back, that's where it all kind of started. And it's all bred on fear, but it all backfired. Like that, I think is the point of what that Twitter poster said, that X poster said is, it's that it all backfired. Every bit of it. It is a triumph. It's an amazing underdog story. Although I don't know if underdog's the right term, but really he's fighting the grain. He's fighting against the tide, whatever you want to call it. But the fact that he overcame all of that is it's a comeback story, if nothing else.
Yes.
But all of that crap backfired. All of it.
Every single thing that they did, the gaslighting of epic proportions. And I just thank God every minute of every day that there were enough people to see through it. And a little side note, you mentioned the Mar-a-Lago raid, and it made me think of Melania Trump declining the invitation. Yes. And citing that specifically. Yeah. So what's your thoughts on that? I love it, but I can see where some people will probably say, well, she should have gone. I personally applaud her for, I
thought it was out of character for her because she is always so together. She's very graceful, gracious, very elegant. But I think that's a statement too. The fact that she is at her breaking point with these people, I think says more than anything. Like of the one person, with maybe the exception of his daughter, the one person who really in his life keeps her, cool, keeps her calm, stays level and fair. Like she is that person. And for her to reach this breaking point that's very significant. So good on her. I mean, I don't blame her. I am shocked though. I really thought that she would be let's sit down and talk China patterns or whatever.
Right.
And just kind of roll with it. And she said, no, I'm done with you. So,
I think we're getting a new version of Melania. I think she will be no less than classy and elegant as she's always been. That will continue. But I think she's going to take a little bit more of the stage. She's going to take the stage a little bit more. The releasing of her book, initiatives and things that she's passionate about. I think she must have come into this saying, listen, if we're doing this again, then, my terms and how I want to handle things. And I think that's what she's going to do.
Well, and I think it was it Monday for Veterans Day. I don't know if you've seen the film clip. There's some serious iciness between the vice president, presidential candidate Harris, and the first lady.
Glacial.
So that says a lot too. I mean, it's all environmental, but we have long not even suspected. You and I have long said that Jill Biden is, she's a pariah. She is the root of many of the problems that are going on right now.
Oh yeah.
And to get that between her and Harris, and then obviously with the soon to be first lady for a second term, however that's
second term. Yeah. Second.
For her to react the way she did, I think says a lot too. So I think
it says quite a lot. Yeah.
I think Dr. Jill would be, she's one of those, like the dog is probably going to bite at her. and you trust
Oh
it.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she is absolutely. So she's so done mentally with all of this, a big bleepity bleep to all of you.
Yep.
I was watching, it got played a lot. I'm sure you saw it too. The clip of her and Biden walking on the beach.
The beach.
Come on, man. Like I couldn't even make a video about it. I couldn't even make a video to make fun of it. But because it was so awful, horrific to watch, really. And again, that anger. I mean, again, I say this so many times. No, don't like the man. Never have, never will. But like the people in his life, like you let this guy do this. And that was the thing that actually I paid the most attention to in that video. The man is like stumbling, near falling. It's a traffic accident, that you're watching basically. She didn't even glance at him. She just kept walking. Never, there's a point where she was kind of like behind him and he was right here. It's not that she couldn't see him. It's not there's no way she couldn't have known that he was falling all over the place. Like you don't put your arm out. Like that to me was really almost one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen of a spouse with their partner. Like
she's been horrible she's been horrible for a long time. We know that. But I think that is indicative, moving on to, our next topic. I mean, that the reactions from the left are also great indicators. And so there's a lot of finger pointing, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of blame to be had. Both President Biden got blamed for a poor administration. He got blamed for staying in the race too long. He got blamed for picking Kamala Harris as his vice president in the first place. And then the first lady got blamed. She got blamed for forcing him to stay in too long. She got blamed for, and then obviously Harris. And so there's lots of finger pointing going on, but those two, I was surprised at the amount of blame that the president and the first lady took in the aftermath of this. I know they were looking to blame somebody,
sure,
but to go after him and then of course you see him walk on the beach like that. And you're like, well, he clearly is incapable.
Right. Like he's not even there.
Yeah.
Although, the running joke, of course, has been all of a sudden he's come out for these handful of pressers and he's spry as can be. Very yippy skippy and coherent. Like, what is that?
Well, it's some of it's the meds and some of it, as like all of us that have been around aging people, like they have great days and they have not great days.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is as the president of the United States, you can't have a not great day. Like it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So, the reactions, and I know you're going to talk about some of the crazy stuff that's going on, but did you watch The View the next day? I watched about 15 minutes.
You know what? I'm in this mode of self-preservation that I catch highlights or lowlights in this case of things. And I make everybody else do all the heavy lifting for me. And then I watch their highlight reels and I mean, everything what you would do they all come out in black or something? Are they all in black? Was that the one?
There's 6, I think, at the desk. And I think 4 of them were in black. Yes. Yeah. I noticed that. I was like, what is this? It was like the first 4 out the door. So it looked like a funeral.
Right.
Which, for them, it kind of was.
For them, it is. They truly believe, a lot of them, at least, maybe not all of them, but those people certainly believe what they're saying.
Yeah. There was 2, and I don't know their names other than Whoopi and Joy, because they've been on there forever. But 2 of the women on there were pretty introspective. And I saw that from some of the hosts on CNN the following day. And there's some interviews with some Democrats out there, both in the pundit world, but also in the political world, that were very like, okay, well, we got to figure this out. Like we need to figure out what happened. But for the most part, there was a lot of meltdown going on.
Yes. A lot of meltdowns, a lot of defiance, a lot of still, name calling of the right, of people on the right for voting them, still name calling, still slinging mud, not learning a gosh darn lesson from anything that just happened. And I agree with you. I don't want to make any blanket statements that saying, that all of the left, all of the mainstream media on the left is, still behaving foolishly. There are some, like you said, that are being a little more introspective and trying to figure this out and see where they went wrong. And I mean, the fast answer to that is don't call half the country garbage. Here's a thought, I mean, 100%. Step one, right? Step one, once upon a time, presidential candidates or any political candidates, your whole purpose is to win people over to your side. And this time around, and of course it's been like this for a little while, but this was the most obvious, where instead of trying to reach across the aisle and bring people over and say, hey, listen, we want the same things that you do. Come on over here. This was a time where both sides said a big bleepity bleep, raised that middle finger to the other side and said, nope, this is war. This is a battle. It's us against you. And, to the death we fight, basically. So that's a little bit crazy to me.
Yeah, I think though that President Trump did, and the campaign as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
I think tried to reach across a little bit more. They didn't try and reach across. They tried to reach into the middle. And you and I have talked about this. That's
Right.
what elections used to be about, right?
Yeah.
You never had to play to your base.
Mm-hmm.
They were gimme. They were 3-foot putt. Like you were
Yeah.
going to get those votes.
Right.
You didn't have to play to the base. You played to the middle to try and draw the middle, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Like you
I agree.
said,
Yeah, I think they definitely.
Yeah, both sides played to the extremes.
Yeah.
And didn't do a great job at trying. The middle is so small now
Mm-hmm.
that they didn't do a great job to play to the middle, except President Trump did on the basis of, truthfully, the economy.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was where
Right.
he was reaching across to anybody and everybody who felt poor. Like, I don't care what party you're from. If
Right.
you can't pay your bills and you're worried about feeding your kids, like this is where
Mm-hmm.
you need to be. So he reached out, I think, on an economic basis and not on a, kind of the staunch policy basis that
Right.
the parties tend to follow. So
and he reached out to and reached the younger population. And there's more than a rumor that Barron had a great deal to do with that. He was yes. There's talk that behind the scenes, very quietly, he was highly, highly instrumental to pointing his father to the demographic and to the actual literal people, streamers and stuff like that, pointing him to the people he should be engaging with and talking to. So I find that incredibly fascinating. And I truly look forward to see what Barron Trump is going to do. He's 18 now, and he's emerging a little bit. He's still pretty quiet, but he's emerging a little bit. And I think mom has a lot to do with that. So it's going to be interesting.
And Kai is also a bit of a superstar.
I love her.
And I saw her in social media in the waning days of the campaign.
Yeah.
And even right after the election, this is why you should vote for my grandpa. This is who my grandpa really is, kind of stuff. So I think, you're probably, I hadn't even thought of Barron. I knew I'd seen Kai enough. She had been vocal enough that, I knew she probably had at least a touch of influence, but I hadn't even thought of Barron. And that's probably, it's a very interesting point.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, you've got obviously Donald and Eric and, or Don Jr. and Eric, and then, the daughters. And now you've got Barron as well. And then you've got Kai. And, I don't like saying this out loud, but, there has the potential for a Kennedy-esque feel to this.
I completely agree. I've felt that all along too. I look at that Trump family, and it's what a dynasty. First of all, you have, to be very superficial, visually, what a striking, right? They're all Amazons, they're these,
Kennedys are the same way.
Exactly. They're just beautiful people, quite literally beautiful looking people. They are incredibly smart, and they're just, in my opinion, they are the total package, really. Smart, articulate, well put together. They keep their noses clean, or at least as far as we can tell, as far as we know, if
they're
not,
Hunter.
Right. They're no Hunter. That's for sure.
Not Hunter.
Yeah. Right. That alone, you get points just for that these days.
Let's hit some of the crazy, because I know you hit me with this even when we were talking topics.
Wow. So I'm sure, and we'll throw some videos in here, disperse them in through these just so you can see. Actually, let's do that.
If I get anything aside from Kamala, get the on my face.
I'm gonna be honest, I was very blindsided by the results this morning. I've decided that cigarettes don't count today, and I honestly might go get a tattoo. But I also have decided that for the next 4 years, I am going to abstain from schmex with men.
Donald Trump is president, and I think all women should stop having sex for the next 4 years, in protest and protection of your bodies. As we know, if that little baby inside you gives you any trouble and you need an emergency healthcare, you're gonna die. I think that is sufficient enough reason to stop having sex. This vote wasn't a vote for Americans. This vote was for men. And unless we want to become the Handmaid's Tale, then us women need to protest, because this is some buttery bull.
All I have to say is good luck getting laid. Especially in Florida, because me and my girlies are participating in the 4B movement. That's my next plan.
Yeah, I mean, so this is mild. Like these are these reactions are actually the mild ones, and let's touch on that 4B movement. So this is like a Korean thing that the women there, they were oppressed and they came up with this thing. So it's like they abstain. There's like 4 things. They all start with B in Korean, and it's something about abstaining from sex with men. Something else. It's like 4 different things that they're going to do to protest.
Yeah. So I've seen that which good. I'm all.
I mean, excellent.
If they don't want to reproduce, fine. I'm totally okay.
The irony of that, though, right? The irony.
There's that. There's the blue bracelets, which I think is a way for them to publicly identify each other, right?
Yes.
And shaving their heads is the
shaving their heads. And there's also one as part of like the blue bracelets and blue heart tattoos, so they can all recognize each other. I'm pretty sure you can recognize each other pretty easily because you're the ones all acting crazy, like going nuts and crying in the streets. And, and then there's also one floating around of promoting using untraceable poison to poison the men in your life. Like, these people are crazy.
Murder's
and
good.
Then add to that, there's been several incidents of school teachers making credible, threats, but wild rants about, there's one actually in my home state, Cheshire elementary school teacher who thought it would be a great idea to put one of these rants on Snapchat. I
saw that.
You know which one? Yeah.
And people of color and poor people and gay people and all the people that I care about aren't going to be safe in America. Neither the are you guys. Just because you won doesn't mean we don't remember who the you voted for. You're not in the clear. And just please don't test your gangster on me, because you will end on a stretcher, gone forever. So serious. Nobody can talk to me unless you want to swing. If you want to fight, text me, call me, whatever.
Yeah, and I know what her logic was. I don't know if it's still the deal. I don't really use Snapchat, but I have it, but I don't use it. Apparently, they disappear after like 24 hours or something. So you make your post or your video, or whatever, and then it's gone. The internet is forever. And of course, somebody, screen recorded it or downloaded it or whatever you do. And yes, that spread like wildfire. She's on leave right now, which I'm hoping is just simply a formality in the process of firing. Because if this woman gets let back to teach, my only, maybe it's an extreme response, but my genuine response here is, if you are a conservative, if you voted for Trump and you are not quiet about it and you've spoken about it, get your kids out of public schools. I mean, these people are bonkers. This is how they react. This is their response. And I love that people are like, they on that side of things. They're like, oh, you would do this if you guys lost, you would be so obnoxious. There's a difference between being obnoxious and gloating and being like, yay, or boo, whatever the case. And then there's threats of violence. Like, if Trump lost, I love the man. If he lost, I would not be shaving my head for him. I'm just not doing it. Yeah,
there's the first girl in that series that you put on there, talking about cutting people out of her life. There's a lot of people that are talking about doing that, cutting out family members, which is absurd. But here's the difference in the reaction, right? And so there was, and this one kills me, there was talk of trying to two things. One, get and we talked about this before, get President Biden to step down, right? And then they install Vice President Harris, and she gets to become the first female president, blah, blah, blah. So there's that. There was also there's the push to get Justice Sotomayor to retire before President Trump, his inauguration, and to appoint Vice President Harris as a Supreme Court justice.
I saw that. Now, I think I just saw that she said, nah.
Well, here's the thing, right? For the last 4 years, we've listened to pack the courts, and we've listened to end the filibuster. Okay? The Republicans now have the White House, the House, the Senate, and a 6-3 majority in the Supreme Court. If any Republican right now said, let's end the filibuster and let's pack the Supreme Court, there would be an absolute, this is why Chuck Schumer's like, hey, everybody, let's play nice for the next couple of years. Let's not go nuclear. That's exactly, they were talking nuclear option for the last 4 years because they were trying to gain power. And if you had any Republican in Congress anywhere right now talking about those two topics, people would lose their mind. Could you imagine adding 6 more justices and all appointed by Trump?
Yeah.
Right.
So
you'd have a 12-3, and then, oh, by the way, get rid of the filibuster. So like anything that anybody proposed got passed, you couldn't stop it. It would pass with a simple majority because everybody would go through and vote party line. It would get to the president. And then if somebody took it to the Supreme Court, even if 2 justices went the other way, it would still be 11-5. Like this would be overrun for the next 4 years. But you can't say that because the reaction would be, oh my God, you guys, what are you doing? This isn't how our country's supposed to be. These aren't the same, we've got safeguards for a reason. Yeah, no kidding. That's what we've been telling you for 4 years.
Exactly. Yeah, amazing how that suddenly in an instant became a bad idea. And that's what disgusts me. And I'm sure you feel exactly the same way. That is what disgusts me. And I don't want anyone to forget.
Right.
We're not going to play nice. No. And I'm sick of hearing that too. Well, now it's time to, mend the fences and come together. No,
BS.
It's not. It's not that time.
That's what you want to say. You want to say BS.
Yes. Thank you. It's not that time because these are dirty, filthy, lying sacks of garbage. There's that word again. So where it belongs.
Right. But okay. So this rolls right into the next topic, which is why did President Trump win? Right. I mean, that's where we're at. And why did he win? And it's because of crap like this.
Yes.
This is why this is why he won the Electoral College. This is why he won every swing state. This is why he won the popular vote. This is why he won. Like President Biden beat Vice President Harris in every county. Right. Even the counties she won, she didn't do better than him. Yeah. So literally ground was gained in every single county across the United States.
Yeah.
And it's because of this crap. It's because of identity politics. It's because of, the attack mindset. It's because of DEI. It's because of CRT. It's because of all of this crap that's being forced on people. And the average American is just sick of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, we're not safe. We're not economically sound. We're not healthy. We're not trusting our government. We are so divided and violent against each other. Well, not really us against them, but enough. We're done. Nobody is going to take this anymore. And, and the people that say or said that they were going to vote for Harris, I believe fully that they went in there, walked in saying to their friends, whatever, oh yeah, no, totally voting for her. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And they went in there and they voted with logic. I believe that. I believe that there are a ton of people that went in and, told people that they were going to vote for her because that's what everybody wanted to hear. And they voted with their actual conscience and said, maybe took a look at their bank account and looked at, at their surroundings and realized that, all of those things, we're not safe. We're not better. We're not number one anymore. We're far from it now. We have to change it,
Yeah. There's a lot of mechanics and a lot of this, I think all of this feeds in. I don't think you can point a finger at any one reason why President Trump won. I would actually even argue that President Trump won almost as much as Harris lost it. She lost that election. I don't think Biden would have won either, but I think that she really, shot herself and lost this election as much as anything.
Yeah.
From the late entry, okay, fine, right? Did that play into it? I think it did. But again, I don't think President Biden was going to win either, not after that debate performance.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
That sealed the deal on him.
So did she get a short, runway? Maybe. Did she get $1.4 billion? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I was just going to say, I love how they like to, now they're trying to she was really at a disadvantage. She really just, everything was striked against her. I'm sorry. You had, what'd you say? $1.4 billion, which by the way, 20 million in debt now.
Yep.
You had all of the celebrity endorsements. You had the mainstream media on your side cheering you along. I mean, you had all of the advantage, all of it, every single bit of advantage, fair and unfair. And this is what happened. So it is definitely time to self-reflect on their part.
Yeah. People said, I've heard this, and this was the most absurd. She ran a perfect campaign. I heard that. I think it was Joy Reid, actually, which not surprising, but
Yeah.
she ran the perfect campaign, which clearly she did not. Now,
Right.
in the blame game, right?
Mm.
So why did Trump win? You and I have been talking about this for weeks. The demographics they lost
Yeah.
are the demographics that really, really hurt them, right?
Yes.
Hispanic males
Mm-hmm.
killed them, right?
Mhm.
Hispanics in general killed them, but Hispanic males killed them, right?
Yep.
The decline in Democratic support by Black males
Right.
hurt a lot, right? And I think all of these are why he won the popular vote. I don't think it had much impact on the Electoral College because the places where their votes flipped, maybe Georgia, maybe Michigan, maybe, but I don't think so.
Mhm.
But and I know, like places like New York State because of New York City,
Right.
Illinois because of Chicago,
Yep.
California because of LA, San Francisco, San Diego, right? A change in the popular vote didn't shift enough to change the Electoral College, but it did change the popular vote, which is a
Right.
huge statement. 2004, right, was the last time a Republican won the popular vote. I think it was Bush's second term post 9/11. Like, of course.
Yep.
So,
yeah, I think there were a lot of big helpers. Trump himself, of course, he has his strong, solid, loyal fan base, followers. But then you bring in someone like JD Vance, and you bring in someone like RFK Jr., and you bring in Vivek and Tulsi. You start bringing, of course, Elon. You start bringing in these really, really smart younger people who can actually connect with the younger generation and speak to them. It's just it's the dream team. I mean, it truly is the dream team. And of course they keep adding more, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But yeah, I think what happened was there were enough people, one of many, many factors, but I think also one of those factors is that there were enough people who said, listen, I don't like Trump. I'm never going to like him, but I like a strong economy.
Yep.
Number one. And that is always for adults. That is always going to end up being, if you're a sane person, that is always going to end up being your number one thing. Can I put food on my table, pay my mortgage, or buy a house, or rent a home, or rent a place, buy a car? Can I do those things? Nope. Well, now we have a problem. And I think that at the core of it is why, people who were meh on Trump.
This was a bit of a crass statement, but I think it speaks to exactly what the difference was. And it was, I don't remember who exactly said it, but it was immediately following the election. And it was like, amazingly enough, women go to the grocery store more often than they get abortions. And it was like just a statement of like,
bravo.
The economy matters every single day to most people.
Yes.
Right. The population that are voting, the single issue voters that are voting because of abortion are much smaller, and is really less of a concern if you can't keep your lights on. Right?
Yeah.
So,
right.
Again, it was a little crass in how it was stated, but the intent behind it is 100% true.
Yeah.
So, that's the other part of it too, is that, the Dems, and you hit it with the celebrity, the celebrities that Trump brought in were people that could, one, could add to the conversation.
Yeah.
They could add they were added to the team. Danica Patrick wasn't somebody who anybody, I think, expected, but she jumped in and she became a big name and a big face, and to be honest with you, Beyonce wasn't going to be in the administration. Bruce Springsteen's not going to be in the administration. George Clooney's not going to be in the administration, where, and I can't think of a single person that Harris had, a single celebrity or known face that she had that would have participated. Whereas Trump intermingled. Listen, Hulk Hogan is who he is. I know most of America knows him, but nobody's listening to him on who to vote for.
Right.
But all the names that he did bring in, I think Elon was huge. Right?
Huge.
Because he's now adding to the team. He's not just a face, right? He's not just a voice. He's not just a celebrity. He's adding to the team. Kid Rock's not in the administration, right?
Right.
But there were the other folks that he brought in to be part of this, right? RFK Jr. is going to be part of this. He had a bit of a rock star status at the end of this, and that's great.
Yes.
So, again, the normal person, the average person, the person of intelligence and of common sense looks and goes, I don't give a crap what Oprah says. I don't care. Oh, by the way, violation of election rules by paying her $1 million for her endorsement, by the way.
Yeah, $1 million. I think Beyonce got a nice big chunk of change.
Yeah, and it's all illegal. It's all going to get investigated because it's all illegal.
Yeah. Yep. They paid, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of dollars apparently to build the set for that podcast that she did.
Yeah.
So, she's paying off people and a lot of fat good that did you. And by the way, I'm pretty sure, I don't think anybody got paid to endorse Trump. None of these people, they did it
No.
because, right? Not a single. I love that Lee Greenwood, proud to be an American.
Yeah.
Yeah. He put out a statement like, I've played this so many times for him, a longtime friend. I have never accepted or wanted a dime for it. And
Yep.
I'll do it over and over again, which, bravo.
Yep.
I love it. So, yeah.
And there was the little Trump jab, like, hey, we got all this extra money over here, and you guys are short $20 million.
We'll help you out.
In the name of unity, how about I pay your bills for you? And I think he actually meant it to an extent. Like, there are people, who aren't going to get paid. There's vendors under contract. And like, there's,
it's not a small number. That's a big chunk of change.
People are not going to get paid. They're not going to get their wage. They're not going to get their contract paid because she's $20 million short.
Yeah.
And again, it goes to the fact that, they don't really care about the average working person. And that, the disconnect with the celebrities, the disconnect with policy, the disconnect in general between the Dems and the elite Dems and Hollywood and all that crap and the average American, I think in the end was the biggest influencer of why President Trump won.
Yeah.
Was because the average person in America does not relate to the Democratic Party anymore.
Right.
Period.
No. And, I think it became more and more obvious that the Democrat Party was pandering to a baser version of people, not their intellect, but their superficial needs. The celebrities. I mean, the celebrities are a perfect example. Like, oh, we'll just entertain you and you'll vote for us, because you're not smart enough to ask about the issues, and I think it really was the entire campaign from the Democrat Party, from Kamala Harris, was an absolute slap in the face to their entire demographic. So insulting, it from Obama talking down to black men to her affecting, the accent of the day, and to never answer, right? Never answering a question and just deflecting everything. Well, Trump, and it's like, in the American people are like, lady, what are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do? Because what you've done so far kind of sucks. So you got anything for us? And, they underestimated and they undervalued the intellect of the people.
Yeah.
And, and I hope nobody forgets that.
And our next topic is key in just the actual, like, how it became policy to alienate people and at the risk of personal harm up to and including death, potentially.
Yeah. Am I pulling up FEMA?
Oh, yeah. Let's get,
Did I pull up the wrong
actually, we can do FEMA now, and then we'll hit the Trump impact and all the nominees. But so for this, folks, if you haven't seen this, there's a FEMA worker. She was a supervisor in Florida who it was proven, and she's since been fired by FEMA, that it was proven, and she admitted to the fact that she directed her people to avoid houses and yards with Trump signs in them.
Yep.
When it post-hurricane. She has since come out and said, oh, that's business as usual. You'll find it in the Carolinas too. We avoid confrontation. So neighborhoods that are confrontational, houses that are confrontational, people that are confrontational, we avoid first. We de-escalate if we have to, but that's our policy and that's how we do business. So I told the people who work for me to avoid those neighborhoods, right? Because they would be confrontational.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. First of all, that's a big crock of so you've decided that just because somebody has a particular sign in their yard, they are going to be confrontational with people that are there to help them. Seems feasible, right? And by the way, just that side note of, I believe it was Trump himself who said, or at least it was people on the right saying that this was going on, that there was some, and of course they were like, you crazy right wingers, you conspiracy theorists, that's not happening. Yeah, it is. And now this lady is saying, oh, you think it was just happening here?
Yeah.
Happening we've been doing this for a while. Yeah. So she's obviously, she's going down and she's taking the whole ship down with her. And, that would be the only slow clap I would give her on this. But, Yeah.
And again, so this is how it bled into policy, right? Even maybe not even written policy, but common practice within an organization, a federal organization. This became the norm under this past administration. Like, that's how far down the road the left has gone under the Biden administration, with Harris, sitting second chair on hating the right. And this is like negligence, willful misconduct. If they can prove anybody died as a result of this, that lady and anybody who did the same thing needs to go to jail.
Yeah.
Right? And that's not like let it pass, let it go. Like it's in no, like people need to be held accountable for this stuff. And for so long, they haven't been. I'm not necessarily for President Trump going around and blasting people over the next 4 years, but there's some of this stuff that we can't, you keep saying don't forget, and I agree with you, but there's some of it that we can't bypass. Like Hunter Biden needs to go to jail.
Yes.
Like straight up, that guy needs to go to jail. And that's not a witch hunt thing. That guy needs to go to jail.
Right.
This lady from FEMA, if they can prove criminal negligence of any kind, she needs to go to jail.
Yeah.
There's some things that you just don't turn a blind eye to.
Folks in the FBI, jail.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It infuriates me, and it bothers the heck out of me when people from our side, of course I expect the people on the left to say that. And again, I hate the side thing, but this is where we're at right now. There's no avoiding it. This is where we're at. I really hate when people on our side of the aisle say things like, it's, time to just move forward. We won and let's just enjoy that and just move on. Accountability. Okay. You have no idea what these people would have been doing to us if they won. There are no words for how bad it would have gotten. And we're never going to find out. Thank God, but part of me wishes that you could do this like alternate universe thing and show it to them and say, this is what it would have looked like. Sure. This is what would have happened. And I'm not like the whole eye for an eye thing, blah, blah. I just want accountability. I want people to be held accountable for the things that they did, because no one is going to learn anything from it. If everybody gets let off the hook for, blatantly breaking laws and causing serious harm to this entire country, what do we have then? What do we have? That's ridiculous to me. So I want them held accountable. And this isn't a vengeance thing. This is an accountability thing. This is action and consequence. And I believe fully that they should be held to the fullest extent of the law, whatever penalties. We know nothing's going to happen to Joe Biden. Nothing's going to happen to all the things that he did. Nothing's ever going to happen. He'll get the pass. And I think that's crap, but it is what it is. But all these other people, no. We have people still sitting in federal prison for J6 who all they did was take a walking tour through the building. That
right there, and we didn't hit this in the recap, but there's two things that everybody needs to remember. You keep saying it, right? One, there are 15 million less votes. 15 million, right?
Yeah.
So
what the heck?
You go back to like the last 7 or 8 presidential elections. It's like 65 million, 67 million, 68 million, 65 million, 66 million, 81 million in 2020. And then now we're back down to 65 million. And those 15 million votes evaporated. Right?
Where'd they go, guys? Where'd they go?
There'll be that right there is enough doubt that election was stolen. Yes. And listen, I was not a stolen election guy. But that right there, that number is indisputable. And that is enough that everybody involved with J6, I think, had a right to protest. And truthfully, I'm not advocating for violence, but like you can understand a lot more how frustrated those people were now that we've got a little bit of proof of stolen election. Yeah. That's one. The other thing to remember is that Mr. Casey in Pennsylvania still has not conceded. Still. Okay. Still has not conceded. We'll talk about election deniers in 4 friggin' years, right? Because everybody, talked that about Trump for the last, 4 years and blah, 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 blah. Still have somebody that hasn't conceded. Okay. So chalk that down, and keep that in your back pocket for 4 years from now when we go through this crap again. But let's go out on a little bit happier note. Let's talk about the awesome things that have already started happening, right? You got the chart, right, of everything that has happened already.
Let me pull this guy up. This is, oh my gosh, this is so wild and so fan-stinking-tastic. Hang on a second, guys. My eyesight is work. Okay, so we're calling it, so it's called the Trump effect. 72 hours after winning the 2024 election, the first female chief of staff appointed, Susie Wiles, right? Yeah. New York City to stop giving debit cards to illegals. U.S. companies bring production home. Stock market hitting all-time highs. Bitcoin hitting all-time highs. Newest migrant caravan is breaking up. Qatar agrees to evict Hamas leaders. Hamas wants immediate end to war. Taliban claims to want new chapter. China wants peaceful coexistence. Russia is ready to speak with the U.S. The EU wants to buy U.S. gas, not Russian gas. And Ukraine leaders are in talks with Trump and Elon. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There is so much more winning happening. It is, wow. It is like,
we called the Hamas thing. Like,
yes.
let's give ourselves credit. We've been saying that.
You
like,
get the credit. I'm giving you. That's 100% you. You called it.
He's fixing that. That's getting fixed already, right?
Yeah.
You know, and that bleeds off into Iran, right?
Yep.
And then, you know, I think you've already got, did Zelensky, did he already talk to Zelensky?
I think so. I think so.
They've already spoken, right?
Yes.
And of course, Zelensky's doing this number. You know, he's asking for more money. I did see a threat, which I thought was hilarious, from the Secretary General of NATO, who is like, I will personally kick the United States out of NATO.
Bye. Bye,
Have a good time. Yeah. let me know how that works out for you.
Yeah.
That's
Good luck with that. Oh, stop. You're hurting us. Yeah.
So, but there's a lot of activity. There was in the first 72 hours and in the first 7 days, a lot of activity directly as a result of President Trump being reelected.
Yeah.
The world has stepped back and taken notice. It's not what the Democrats, you know, portrayed it to be. There are a lot of countries. I saw a lot of countries. I don't know if you saw this, in their parliaments or their, you know, their governmental buildings, whatever. Huge applause when the announcements came across. I know in Eastern Europe and in countries in Asia, there was tons of applause. Many people, many governments around the world. God, I sound like Trump. Are saying, you know, they were very happy, right, that he got reelected. The global reaction has been overall very, very good.
Yes. Well, you know, I think the simple fact is that most countries, most people, with a very small exception, they want peace. Everybody wants peace. The only people who don't want peace are the people profiting from war. Right? I mean,
the Democrats right now.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Boom. You know, look where the money goes. That's it. Follow the money, right? That's always the rule. Follow the money. Follow the money. Who's getting rich? And we all know who's getting rich.
Yeah. And he's been busy with the appointments, even today, right? So we can work backwards from today. But I mean, today alone, 4 big appointments. I think Pete Hegseth was it last night?
I think that was last night. Yeah.
So
I was like,
I'll be honest.
Notes.
In my opinion of today, and he had 4 big ones today.
Yep.
He's too good and too bad. And I loved everything he did up until Hegseth for SecDef.
Tell me why you don't like him, because I took a quick look at his specs, if you will, and he sounded really good to me on paper. Why are you not loving that?
So DOD is the biggest enterprise in the federal government, and when I say it's massive, right?
Yeah.
Think of it's not just the Pentagon; it's all 4 services, right? Who have their own service chiefs and all, but you have all 4 services of the basic services, plus you've got Coast Guard and you've got Space Force. And oh, by the way, the DoD structure itself, which isn't just, you know, under the umbrellas of the services.
Okay.
It is a massive, massive organization. He has 0 experience leading large organizations. 0. Okay. People are getting wrapped around, well, he was an officer in the Army. Okay. He was a major and he was in the National Guard. Oh, by the way, qualifies you for not that you have to be military to be the SecDef. In fact, it's not a requirement, and I'm okay with somebody not. But his experience doesn't add anything, truthfully. Everybody says, oh, he's got combat experience. So what? All of us do. And oh, by the way, all the service chiefs do. And everybody who works in the Pentagon does, right? I mean, if we're measuring things on combat experience, you know, General Petraeus, who a lot of people love, not me personally, but some people do, he had no combat experience until he was a 2-star general leading the 101st Airborne Division in 2003 in Iraq. None. Okay. As a junior officer. Eisenhower had no combat experience until he was a 4-star leading all forces in World War II. All right.
Wow.
Combat experience does not make you qualified for a job like that.
Fair.
And truthfully, he's talking about a lot of things. Like he was on the Sean Ryan show. He's done a couple of appearances where he's talking about a lot of things that need to go away. DEI and all this woke crap. And I agree with all of that.
Right.
The problem with it is that DOD doesn't stand alone by itself, and it doesn't just get to make decisions on its own. There's the House Armed Services Committee, the Senate Armed Services Committee. You know, the budget is approved by Congress. The like general officer, flag officer appointments are all approved by Congress. You know, he's complaining about generals being politicized inside of DOD. That's because they're approved by Congress. They have to have political support to progress. He can't change that. And he says, I'm going to get rid of all those people. Well, then you're going to get rid of all of them.
Yeah.
Right. He doesn't understand the process because he's never worked in it. Like, even as a National Guard officer, he got activated for a couple of deployments. He's never worked in the apparatus. So he's saying things out loud that he really has no experience with. And they're blind spots for him. And I think it is such a massive undertaking that he's going to spend a whole year trying to figure out his job. And President Trump is not going to be patient with him for a year.
No. Who would
So I think,
do you have anybody in mind that would be on your short list for that?
yeah, people have asked me that because a lot of people ask me my opinion about Hegseth, and I, you know, I know some folks kind of on the fringes of things that I would name or at least consider.
Yeah.
But, you know, there are too many people out in the business world who I think should be considered, who know and understand large organizations and how to run them and those kinds of things that I think should be considered that I don't know. I would never offer a name because the pool is too big and I'm just unfamiliar with it. I do know that Pete Hegseth is not, in my opinion, qualified to do that job. If he's qualified, then I'm overqualified because I got a lot more experience than he does. And oh, by the way, I'm not qualified to be the secretary.
I was going to say, I would nominate you, Clay, but I don't want you to leave my show. You can't leave our show.
But I am a fan of Tulsi as the DNI, right?
Love
so
her, yes.
As the director of national intelligence,
girl.
CIA works for her.
Yep.
Like, the entire intelligence apparatus works for her. I think it's great.
I love it.
I'm not a fan of Matt Gaetz as the attorney general. That guy's got too much in question, legal stuff in question in his past. He's got a DUI charge that looks like it got covered up. Even if it didn't, it looks like it did.
Okay.
There was a charge of sex trafficking. Like it just, that's not the guy that he may not make it through confirmation, but I don't think he's.
I was going to say, so each one, every single one is considered a nominee, right? Every single one has to go through like that vetting process.
Congressional, yes, they have to testify in front of Congress and be approved. I do love Marco Rubio as Sec State.
Okay. Yeah.
Like that to me today, as much as I love Tulsi as the DNI, Rubio as Sec State, like knocked it out of the park. That was one of the best picks that he could make. You know, we've got Kristi Noem at DHS now. Like that's his knee there. He's got what is it? Dodge.
Yeah.
Right?
That's Elon and Vivek are going to be heading the Department of Government Efficiency.
Yeah.
They're going to be cutting out all the fat. That's going to be.
Love it.
Listen, I want the biggest, baddest, meaning best, security detail on these people. I want them to be protected with like people who are armed to the teeth. I want, like, I'm so excited and also scared for these people because of the amount of people that they are going to be pissing off. Like,
so they're going to make it public. So they're going to post every single day the things that they like. Every action that they take is going to be for total transparency. It's supposed to be posted every day. Oh, by the way, they're going to have a tote board, a scoreboard of the most absurd government overspending, and they're going to post it all the time. Like,
this is like so exciting. This is literally giving power back to the people.
Yeah, transparency is key.
Right. And it's so ironic to all you freaking Fruit Loops out there that keep saying Trump's going to be a dictator. Trump is literally giving the powers back to the states, back to the people. Day one, before even day one. Like, get it through your thick idiot heads. And I'm sorry to be so aggressively mean about it, but it can't be any more in your face. Like, it's so clear what's happening, what he's doing. And it's what you should want as an American. Like, the number of people that don't understand the whole principle of putting these powers back to the states. One, it's because that's where they belonged all along. And two, because your state representatives failed. They failed to protect that constitutional, laws and rights and abilities. The federal government has been given way too many powers, way too many. How many freaking departments can you have? Which is, of course, is all part of, And oh my gosh, you see heads exploding about his Department of Education announcement.
I didn't see that. Who is it?
Oh no. Oh, he's going to get rid of the Department of Education.
Well, it's a beautiful thing because, Jimmy Carter started it in 1976 and we went from number 1 in the world to 24th in the world and have never made it back. So
never made it back. That is unacceptable. So yes.
And, you and I talked about this even before we started recording, with the exception of RFK, right? And we don't know where RFK is going to land in this administration. He is going to get a job. But this is a young team. Yeah. The folks that he is bringing in are young. There's no 68, 72-year-old career politicians in this cabinet, in this architecture of any kind, right? Again, with RFK as the exception. But think about the people we talked about. Rubio, Tulsi, Hegseth's young, right? Gates is young. Kristi Noem's young. Vance is young. Like, this is a very young, new age conservative team that he is bringing in, and he's setting the party up for a very long time.
Yes. This is so strategically brilliant.
Yeah.
And positive and beneficial for this country. I think I can speak for so many people in this country right now, and I say I'm finally feeling hope again, because I really feared for this country, and I was emotionally and mentally preparing for it to become a lost civilization, like just to go down the way of the Romans, into
We're close.
close. I mean, we're on the precipice of that, right?
I agree.
And I feel like this is our chance. This is our opportunity to, to right the ship and get steering on the right course again. And I'm so excited for the future, and again, anxious. So I know I've said it in past episodes. I'm going to say it again to you guys. If you are the praying kind, prayers up for that hedge of protection, man. And if you're not the praying kind, just hope for it. Hope for it. It all works. It all works.
I agree with you. And I think that the fact that there has been absolutely zero violence in response to the election is a indicator that people are on board with this.
Yes.
That, listen, some crazy women shaving their heads, that's not violence, right? But what we didn't see we didn't see George Floyd riots. We didn't see, the riots of 2020. We didn't see any of that stuff. There was zero violence the day after the election. Now, we'll see what happens come inauguration time. But I think we're on a positive note, which we try to end on a positive note. I think,
do.
The things that we've covered at the end of the show are all great indicators that we're headed in the right direction. And I'm with you. I do have a feeling that we are headed in the right direction as a nation, not just because of President Trump and the administration, but because of everything surrounding it.
Yeah.
And I think this is a time to feel good about where we are and where we're going.
Yes, indeed. Guys, we love you so much. We're so appreciative of you joining us. Again, thanks a million times over for joining us in our live last week. That was such great fun with you. Clay and I talked off air. We do plan on doing more live episodes. We'll scatter them here and there in between. In the meantime, again, we love to talk with you in the comments section. And next week, we will bring you more fun stuff. Go ahead, Clay. You close them out.
Hey, as always, folks, again, live was awesome last week. We're going to do more of it, and I can't wait for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. But until then, and until next week, from me, as always, keep moving, keep shooting.
Combat veteran Terry Davis traded a life of adventure and violence for the quiet of the Midwest prairie. But when he catches wind of a potential terror threat to the country he swore to protect as a young man, his instincts make it impossible to stay on the sidelines. Dusting off his years of training and experience and his guns to protect himself, his loved ones, and his nation, the aging warrior winds up in Tampa, making friends and meeting enemies along the way. As the threat slowly takes shape and reveals itself, Terry relies on the smarts and skills that kept him alive through years of combat. Yet the threat is much bigger than he realized, and he's not sure who he can trust. The one thing he knows for sure is that if he wants to stay alive, he needs to keep moving, keep shooting.
The much anticipated return of Elsa Kurt's beloved series, Welcome to Chance, on October 24th, 2024. Set in coastal New England, this small-town saga captivates with its intricate tales of life and love. Follow the intertwined lives of 5 unique families as they navigate the complexities of their picturesque community. Experience the charm and drama of Chance, where every character has a story that tugs at your heart. Whether you're a returning fan or a newcomer, there's something for everyone to enjoy and connect with. Pre-order your copy now and immerse yourself in the enchanting world that Elsa Kurt masterfully brings to life. Don't miss the opportunity to fall in love all over again with the unforgettable stories of Welcome to Chance.